What's going on, formers? Dr. Deviate. Another episode of Coffee with the Doctor. Today we're in my garage. I want to talk to you guys about motorcycle motors. It's something that I got a lot of experience with is motors. All right, let's get into this. Welcome back. It's good to have you. All right, guys. I have a lot of experience in motors and race cars, and I had the privilege of growing up and having one of my best friends. He was the generation above me, but he kind of took me in, and he was one of the best race car engine builders in Houston, Texas. The guy was absolutely remarkable. I mean, he was a wizard. He built motors that just scared the bejesus out of me just to stand next to him. I mean, these things, they just scare you, okay? When they started, they don't start like a regular, car. You get that boom, no. These things don't start like that. When you start talking about compression, I mean, these motors they don't start up, they explode, okay? I mean, he hits that key and it's just boom. And I mean, the whole garage, it feels like the walls are flexing. I mean, scare the hell out of you, I tell you, if you're not ready for it, all right? And I learned a lot from, being friends with this gentleman and hanging around his shop when I was a teenager and so on and so forth. And I've watched him school a lot of people. One of the best race car engine builders and chassis builders in Houston. And he built motorcycles, he built everything, okay? And he schooled a lot of people, and I was there for it, all right? If you think that you're going to take a turbo, put it on your Busa, have it fabricated on there, have it all plumbed up, and then turn around and have it tuned, and think that your Busa is going to live a happy life, you're sadly mistaken. Your Busa is going to leave an oil spot somewhere if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, it's going to lock up on you at about 140 mile an hour, okay? They're not going to live that way, guys. They're just not, all right? If you want to turbo a Busa, then you need to build the engine for it. They have special rings for motors. They have special pistons for turbo motors, okay? Not to mention the different cams and headwork it takes to flow that type of flow, airflow through an engine, all right? And special exhaust. That's first and foremost, all right? I think we all kind of know that. You see these captions on YouTube. Oh, Turbo Busa blew up. Well, no, shoot, it blew up, man. What the hell were you thinking, If you actually thought it was going to live with that, then, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to talk trash about people, but tuning your motorcycle is not much different, guys, okay? If you want your bike to live a long, happy life, then tune it within reason, okay? These tuners out there, they're going to do whatever you ask them, all right? Because they're getting paid. They're getting paid, and you're the customer, and they want to make you happy. So if you go to that tuner, you say, man, give me everything you can get out of it. I mean, don't leave nothing on the table. Guys, you get what you ask for, okay? He's going to find you more horsepower than the average tune, probably, especially if he's worth his weight in salt, all right? But at what cost? Okay, so one of the ways that they tend to do this is they tend to unlock your rev limiter, okay? And you see there's a million videos on YouTube of people dynoing every damn thing out there under the sun. And they unlock the rev limiter, okay? And they'll push it up from 10,000 to 12,000, 14,000, whatever. And they're seeing these huge gains up on top. Huge gains, man. The motor falls flat at that point by the factory. So anything you're gaining up there is going to be huge, all right? Why do you think the manufacturer and the engineers left that like that? Do you think they're in a habit of leaving horsepower on the table? Do you think Suzuki is in a habit of leaving money on the table? No, guys. Suzuki wants to make money just as bad as you do, okay? But they're choosing to do it differently, all right? And that's the key. You have certain brands out there, and I'm just going to categorize them in two categories. Uh, it's not perfect, but it's close, okay? Japanese and European, all right? The Japanese always seem to be more focused on performance versus reliability, okay? They're looking at both those factors pretty hard, okay? And then the Japanese tend to really sigh on the side of reliability. Your European specs, though, your Italians and stuff, especially, they side on the side of performance, okay? Meaning, the best way I can put it, as I heard a YouTuber say one time, the Italians, they're here for a good time. They're just not here for a long time, all right? That's the best analogy I've ever heard of it, okay? Now, to say that all the Italians are that way it would not be fair to the Italian manufacturers, because they do have certain models that they do focus on reliability. But their main base models, Panigale and stuff like that, these things are... It's an amazing bike. It's a wicked bike. It's a fast bike. It's not known to be a reliable bike, okay? It's just like if you have a full-blown race car, drag car. You think that thing is reliable? Absolutely not, okay? You will spend more time underneath the hood of that thing working on it than you will driving it. I promise you, I've done it, okay? If it ain't broke down, you're adjusting valve lash, all right? Or you're doing this or you're doing that. I mean, it's just a never-ending thing, okay? The Japanese are trying to give you as close to that race performance with as little preventative maintenance as possible, or maintenance, okay? Suzuki seems to be kind of the top dog for that. People give Suzuki a hard time because they'll run a motor for 10 plus years, okay? Well, Suzuki does that for a reason. They do it because they know the motor is reliable. They've got it worked out. They got it figured out. They know where it can live, okay? When that tuner takes your motor and he goes from 10,000 red line to 14,000 red line, why do you think the manufacturer didn't do that? Because the manufacturer is not thinking about the next 10,000 miles like that tuner. Or he ain't thinking about the next 20,000 miles. Maybe the tuner's thinking short-term 20,000. I don't know. Or maybe he ain't thinking about it at all. He's just trying to make his customer happy, okay? The manufacturer's thinking about 50, 75, 100,000 miles, okay? And they know that if that motor is, if it's at, the best it can do when it's new is around that, 12,000 RPM red line. They're going to back that down. They're going to give you this space right here. That's your safety margin. Why do you need a safety margin? As that motor gets older, it gets heat cycles, okay? Starts getting a lot of mileage on it. Start getting around that 50,000 mile mark if you're lucky enough to have a motorcycle that long. Those springs, they're not going to be as good as they were when they were new. They're not going to snap, that valve close as fast as they used to, all right? And if you're doing what that motor could barely do when it was brand new, well, guess what? At that high mileage, you're going to touch the top of a piston with a valve, okay? Because the pistons are going to outrun the valves. They're going to outrun the springs. Your springs are getting weak. Springs wear out, guys. We all know this. We've all slept on an old mattress, the old spring mattress that was sinking in the middle. When you got up in the morning, you had to fight to get out of it. You got to throw a rope over and pull yourself out of the hole. It's because the springs are wore out. Your head on your motorcycle is no different. Them springs are going to weaken. They're going to wear out, okay? And Suzuki's thinking about that. So they lower that down so when they do get wore out, guess what? You're still within the limits of what they set it. How long will it live? That's all you got to ask yourself, man. What are your expectations of your motorcycle? Okay? You want to get out here and race it and run it on the ragged edge all the time? Then you're going to maintenance it and fix it and repair it like it's on the ragged edge all the time, like a full-blown race car. a full-blown race bike. All right. Even MotoGP bikes get rebuilt all the time. I mean, almost every race they're rebuilding those motors. Is that what you want to do? Okay. No, we want to ride and ride and ride and ride and ride and ride, and we bitch about doing oil changes. Okay. So be careful when you start pushing your rev limiter up. When your tuner wants to go from 10,000 to 12,000 or from 12,000 to 14,000, okay? Be mindful of that because that can bite you in the butt. I'm not saying that it's going to. You may win the lottery and it could live 100,000 miles that way, or you could get 10,000 out of it, okay? That's my personal experience, guys. That's years and years and years and years of being around race motors. I'm telling you it to be true, okay? Your motorcycle is no different. A motor is a motor is a motor. They all got valves, pistons, connecting rods. They're all the damn same, all right? And we can expect them to behave the same. You want to turbo it, build it for the turbo. Put the turbo pistons, rings, and all that stuff in there. You want to nitrous it, put nitrous rings, pistons, that kind of stuff in there, all right? You want to really push this engine up and blow by the factory set red line, okay? Well, that's fine. Just make sure that, periodically you're pulling those springs out of that head and you're checking them. Checking them, see how wore out they're getting, and replace them as needed, okay? Because that's what it's going to take to make it live. All right, guys? That's it. We're at 11 minutes. I didn't want it to go this long. Just have reasonable expectations for what you're asking your tuner to do and what you want to do with your motorcycle, okay? If you want it to live happy or do you want a full-blown race bike, have reasonable expectations of it, okay? Because if you want a race bike, you're going to maintenance it. If you want an everyday driver, you're going to give up a little bit of performance for reliability, guys. All right. That's it. That was Coffee with the Doctor. Till next time, keep it upright, be safe, and peace.